Level 10 living. Level 10 living. How do you say that in German? Does anybody know how to say that in German?
Ich liebe dich. Which stands for I love
whatever
you
it
in
is,
German.
it sounds like you're commanding an army. That's all I know. So as you see, my son Carl is with me, and so is Mercedes. Therefore,
Hi.
it's no ordinary program, and I welcome to all of you in the spirit of the holidays, as we are focusing on what this next year is going to be like for you, and it's going to be a different year for you. Now, I have a largely, for the most part, older demographic because, like attracts like. So I've got 40, 50, 60, 70-year-olds, and I'm focusing this year on the reality that your calling is going to require more from you emotionally, physically, mentally, and spiritually than ever before. It's like one guy said a couple of times. He said, I intend to leave it all in the field by the end of this year. And you know what? And that Charlie Kirk, I was just with Charlie Kirk this weekend. Mercedes was there at this event. And he said to me, I'm doing 3 podcasts a day. I'm traveling like 250 days a year. I'm doing rallies. I'm running turning points. I'm on radio. I'm here at these events. And guess what? I intend to work harder this year because it's the most important year of my life for America and the most important year for you. So that gets me thinking. It's going to be really spiritually demanding. You're going to have different kind of warfare than you ever had before. But your physical body is 1/3 of the equation of your victory. If you don't have the physical energy, if you don't have the strength, look how COVID has impacted so many people's lives. Even still, having what they call long COVID or whatever, they dealing with the energy drop and the deleterious effects. Well, we're going to need to really be at optimum physical strength because your physiology, your body affects your mind, and your mind affects your body. So we're going to focus here now. I'm going to go to gold medal performance in our series of level 10 training, which is 30 years of talking to the peak performance industry. I've got a couple of these principles that I brought and translated back over into the church world that I work in, and I found them remarkably effective. And one of them came from the Olympics. So we're going to focus on physical peak performance for older people. Do you know it's possible to recover muscle, recover a degree of, I think even Dr. Rubin said you can recover, so you could stop the loss of bone density and build muscle and rebuild cartilage and rebuild in your body. I don't think you have to go downhill if you know what you're doing. And our focus is going to be on those principles. But I'm going to page 12 in our manual here, which you can get a hold of. It's Level 10 Living, our series of these 3 special seminars that we did to make you unstoppable, to unlock your convergence, or what you're called to do, and to give you a strategy. And we're going to be focusing on these things at a summit coming up. Yes, Mercedes?
I was just going to say, though, if you want to follow along in the book with us and you want to get a discount on this, you use promo code PODCAST and get 10% off.
Yeah, this is my coaching. I mean, folks, I could be doing this for a living, just doing this, and I don't because it's not my primary calling. I just do it one day a week. We focus on this because listen, what's more important than you being able to have peak performance? But the reality is your physical body is part of the triad that shapes your state every day. And that's why some people can't function. They had a cup of coffee, or some people, their blood sugar goes up or down. I mean, it's amazing how your performance physically is affected by your state, and your state is 1/3 affected by your biochemistry, your strength, your energy. If you got pain, let's face it, anyone who's ever had back pain or a toothache or a headache knows it impacts what's happening right then. Mm-hmm. On page 12, we have a discussion of the triad of state, which is the triad of focus and meaning and physiology. Carl, we got the board over there. Before we do some of our interviews we're going to be showing segments of, why don't you go to the board and get ready to just do our 3-circle illustration. We have a pyramid here. They do the same thing. And talk about the 3 aspects of focus, self-talk, and physiology, and how they come together to create a thing we call state. To have peak state this year, folks. Peak state. Because that frequency is where the action is. And we're going to talk about this in our summit coming up, too. Mercedes, you have been brilliant at getting together the 4 or 5 experts in diverse fields And as you prayed into this, I mean, at first I was skeptical, I'll be honest with you, when she said, we're going to start the year off with the physical mastery for especially for your older folks, because this is the year you're going out like gladiators to go fight. And I thought, well, why would we do that? And then the more she talked about it, the more I realized I need to go to this seminar. That's when God said, hey, knucklehead, she's getting a word for you, because I wouldn't have heard it. She heard it. What's the focus?
Yeah, I mean, we're going to be looking at things like healing, wellness, vitality. You know, the rest of your life should be the best of your life. And so we've got, like you talked about, we've brought in some of the foremost experts. We've got doctors coming in, Dr. Crandall, world-renowned cardiologist, who's good, and by the way, spirit-filled believer, who's going to be not only telling us about the miraculous testimonies he's seen happen, but also he pairs it with incredible knowledge and insight that you don't want to miss out on. We've got Dr. Goodman coming in. We've got Jordan Rubin coming in, going to talk about the benefits of collagen, adding that into your diet, and also intermittent fasting. Lots of people, you know, Jesus fasted, and he commanded us to pray and to fast. And so we're going to understand why is this a benefit to our bodies? Not only is it something the Lord asked us to do, right? Like, because there's certain demons. It's like, hey, this doesn't even come out except through prayer and fasting. And so we want to unlock the secrets of fasting. So Jordan's going to be talking about that. We've got Christy Code Red Nickel coming out, fitness expert. And then I thought, all right, this is awesome, Lord. And then he said, but we cannot forget the miraculous. And so we have Tommy and Miriam Evans coming in. We're going to have 2 Miracle Night services on both nights. And I'm telling you, there are, I genuinely believe, whether you're there in person, because there's power in proximity, or if you're watching online, I believe there is information, my people destroyed for lack of knowledge. There's information you're going to get that's going to, like I said, make the rest of your life the best of your life. We're going to talk about, we have Pastor Shirley there too, who's going to be talking about cell regeneration. How do you go from, you know, when the doctor kind of gives you these different diagnoses, or you just see like degeneration, how do we get into like regeneration?
Right.
And how does your body do that? She's going to be talking about that. So, man, there's so much, but you and Carl are going to be focusing on a lot of different topics we're covering here in the Level 10
We're starting
course.
today, which is the mindset to make the major shift, because it's not enough to just go to an event and say, I need to do that. Every year I say I need to do stuff I don't do. And I'm in this profession of personal development. So go to lancewalnut.com/summit, SUMMIT, and make sure you join. It's going to be an intimate group of about 150 or 200 professionals, some really extraordinary. I'll tell you a little secret. I'm going to get a little secret here, people. If you're smart in business, if you're one of those people that wants to network with the tops in Hollywood or movies or Wall Street, people come to me all the time. They want to be able to have favor. But you know what you do? Go to the events where they're at. Then you spend 2 days with them. You have lunch with them. And you get interested. Well, what do you do? And then you find out the divine appointment you've looked for your whole life is sitting next to you. Wish I could meet a producer. Wish I could meet someone. We got them. Just go to the events. That's the beautiful world I run in. Meet the people and get the information at the same time. Carl, you have an artist skill when it comes to making circles. I can't believe you did that freehand. I just watched you do it. Tell us about the triad of state.
Sure. So this is pulled from neurolinguistic programming literature. The idea being neuro is your brain, linguistic is the words associated with what it is that you're talking about or thinking, i.e. the meaning, and then the programming comes in with the physiology. So we know that what gets your attention gets you. For any of you who are into winter athletics, you know that with skiing or snowboarding, wherever you're focusing on, wherever you're looking is the area that you start actually going towards. The meaning associated with what you say or what you're thinking is directly connected to how you feel about what it is that you're thinking about. There's this old equation that Dr. Daniel Amen talks about in some of his literature, A plus B equals C. A is what happens to you, B is what you say to yourself about what happened to you, and C is ultimately how you feel about it. And really it all comes down to that B stuff, what you say to yourself as opposed to what actually happened. Then finally, we have the physiology. This is where the programming comes in. This is where, as you stand, so too you're rewiring your body. As the brain, as the body moves, the brain grooves, to pull from Jim Quick in some of his literature. So one of the things that I like to do with my clients, I'm a coach, I have a coaching practice, is I recommend people who are struggling with anxiety, depression, imposter syndrome to actually practice this physiological programming by doing a Superman pose. And what that is you stand with your feet shoulder width apart, you put your hands on your hips, You have your head just above the horizon line. You stand like this. And what they find is that after 30 seconds of standing like that, it actually bolsters and improves your positive neurochemistry so that way you feel better equipped to handle whatever the task is at hand. So if you're about to go into a meeting with a boss and you're ideally looking for a raise or some type of additional compensation package, if you stand like this for 30 seconds beforehand, not in the meeting, don't do that. It comes off as a little weird. But before you get into the meeting, do that. It'll boost that neurochemistry. You'll have you'll be less inclined towards feeling that imposter syndrome that some of us wrestle with, because your body is now in a position that says, yes, I can withstand whatever's coming at me. So what gets your attention gets you. That's focus. The meaning associated with what you're saying to yourself is also incredibly important. And then the physiology backs up that meaning and the focus. So I hope that clears up the triad of state ever so slightly for you guys at home. Back to you, Lance.
That clears it up. That absolutely clears it up. Although I'm thinking we gotta remove our 3 Santa socks from behind our see-through set, because they show up rather conspicuously on our see-through set. So we'll fix that for tomorrow. For
Santa Claus was a
show.
tripod. What is wrong with this? Santa Claus had the 3 legs. We need the 3 stockings, yeah?
Exactly. So we'll think about that one. Now, let's take a look at what Carl said. You can come on back to the table here, son. We'll go back in here. So when the Olympic performers doing what they do, they obviously have their physical bodies doing part of it, but they're also focusing on a certain thing. And the key is to be focusing on the right target. So I wonder if a lot of weight loss efforts fail because we're not focusing necessarily on the body we want or the health we'll have. We're focusing on that delicious piece of Hershey chocolate cake that is in the refrigerator. And I'm serious about this. Yeah. I believe that there's a certain discipline of how you approach building new habits in this coming year that has to do with reframing the image that you've got. And somehow we have to rewire our association with the meaning of things. This sounds weird, but I mean, part of renewing your mind biblically is you have to reassociate what something means. When I wasn't a Christian, sitting down and reading the Bible was not at all in my mindset of things that were going to be I couldn't wait to do. But once I became a believer and realized that God was talking to me from this book, and that here was where I could see and hear his voice, and once I got the Holy Spirit, and God began to take me on a treasure hunt, speaking to me out of this book, it became life for me. And then I've gone through so many versions of the Bible because they constantly speak. It's like opening up the lips of the Almighty when you open up this book. I have a different association. So how you view or the meaning you attach to something has a lot to do with whether you're going to do it. So I imagine, Carl, people that we listen to, like on Joe Rogan interviews and stuff, that love to do the running, I just ran into some folks recently that do Tough Mudder, and they love doing all that physical exertion. Now, in so many cases, these people that are doing that, they associate intense joy and satisfaction with what to me looks like a torture routine. So what's going on in that situation? And what's the insight you can give on what's happening there?
For a lot of those individuals, I would imagine, without actually knowing them, their association is not with the end result, it's with the actual process of doing the Tough Mudder itself. So they are experiencing those moments of joy and ecstasy while they're in the middle of it, as opposed to as a direct consequence of having won or finishing the race. So that's another issue that a lot of people face with sustained motivation, is that, like with weight loss, you're hoping to hit that weight loss goal, but you're not actually taking the time to celebrate the small wins along the way of doing your meal prep, of making sure that you're decreasing caloric intake, of, whatever those little things are that are ultimately going to shape you into a healthier, wealthier person. You need to take the time to celebrate those little wins along the way. Also, with an attitude of gratitude, they need to root themselves in the positive affect of what they're going to feel after it's done, because the brain is a fact-finding machine. It is also a pattern recognition machine. So if you act and operate from a state of gratitude from where you will be, as opposed to where you are, your brain will continue to find ways to make that a reality.
Well, Mercedes, when you... Now, I remember. Now, this is interesting. I don't know if we could actually record this, so I'm going to go and say it. But I've been with
Just kidding, guys.
with my wife, with the women on staff. I've got a daughter. I got a lot of women that are working with me,
Careful.
and
Sounds
I
like a
have my son
minefield.
Carl. I only need one Carl, and then that's I got all the testosterone and alpha energy that I can keep
We
me
have
busy.
Chris
there.
and Scott and all the guys in the back.
Well, but they stay in the
Alex?
back here. We
Yeah.
said they're in the back, so they're not out here. But my point is this. Let me just say this.
In spirit and in truth.
I have
they are
seen
here.
Mercedes motivated to decide that, I'm going to lose a whole lot of weight. And it's always because, and it's supposed to be like, maybe it's everybody, but women in particular, it's because of the wedding or the party or the event that you're about to go to. And you make it a goal to be able to look great and feel great with it because there's a certain event in the future. Now, my question is this.
Yeah, get to the question.
Am I not accurate in saying that a lot of people are motivated by the image of what they want to look like? And then when the event is done, they go back to where they were before. Explain to me what's going on here.
What does that mean? I'm just like,
Well, I mean, so for instance, some people will say,
oh, I have a land story. I
like
could
for a
tell.
class ladies, I'm getting in trouble here. Now look, if there's a class reunion and you go, well, I'm going to really look, and all of a sudden everybody's looking so svelte and so nice, and the whole back of the class. Then as soon as it's done, boom, back
you
to
know what it is,
back to the
Lance?
party. What?
Here's what it is. I'll tell you. You know when I lose weight? When you're not around. When you went in July, because, Annabelle and Lance like to take a sabbatical and, spend quality time. And when you're not here, I can get into a healthy rhythm and habits. But because your schedule is like so wild, it's like we'll eat at different times, or it's
Are
like
you
I'm
saying
blaming
that
it on
I am
you.
the reason
Yeah.
why?
For bringing up this sensitive topic. There's so many different stories I could tell, but
Do it.
but it was in July. I did like a 30 or 40 day, I'm gonna get
No,
and
go
to
ahead.
your point,
You can go ahead and say it. You're saying that you lose weight because you have more structured, discipline, management of the world, and that I bring an element of chaos and stress that causes irregulated eating habits.
some of that, but I was gonna say to your point, we did have a scheduled trip to Mar-a-Lago. And like in August or something.
Thank you.
Something like that.
I wasn't going to bring it up. But here's the thing. She decided she was going to go down and meet her lifelong mentor, Rush Limbaugh. And it was her birthday. And, she's a great partner in the business here. And so, all right. This has been a dream of your life. And, he wasn't alive long after that. She got a picture with him.
That's true.
And I watched her shove those security guards out of the way. And I said, that girl, she is proof of what was Brian Clemmer's thing about intentionality, right?
That's it.
Yeah.
She was going to get a picture with Rush, and she didn't care if there were bodyguards. Out of my way!
Well-
and next thing you know, smile, selfie.
Yeah.
But she was going, and then the president, and then Mar-a-Lago. And so she was motivated to be in her peak state. And so all of a sudden,
Peak state. It's like I listen. Thank God, I'm in a state where I'm really not offended by it at all. And plus, Lance and I have been working together for a while. We've been working together for 7 years, and it's like you're like family, and like we all make fun of the basketball. Annabelle calls it your basketball that comes and goes. So these are the things.
No, I'll tell you what. No,
you talk
for instance,
about.
let me tell you how this gets personal for me. I go over to the whiteboard or the clear board over there.
Light board.
And it's and I go over there and suddenly I see Mercedes looking all like perplexed. I go, what? We're in a show. She goes, well, when you turn sideways with what you're wearing in the silhouette in front of the dark backdrop, it looks like you've got your basketball bag. And I thought, you've got to be kidding me. So I have to go do a costume change to put on something dark.
But let me say this. I'm going to say this to get back on topic. That in life, you do need somebody that's a friend of yours that's going to tell you the truth in love in a funny, whimsical way. And it's like, maybe for your health, you should be thinking about what do I need to do to diet. And so to your point, you need a why essentially, that makes you cry. So like right now, Scott and I are doing the Code Red, Christie's Code Red, you know, kind of like weight loss challenge.
Our audio guy?
Yeah, Scott and his wife, Scott's wife.
And he's down like 4 pounds in 3 days or something like that.
Yeah,
Really?
and coming out of Thanksgiving, a lot of different people are doing the challenge, so I'm doing it too. So, but for me, I'd like to lose a little bit of weight because I'd like to have another kid, and it's not really healthy to. You have to put 30 pounds on when you have a kid, either way, as a woman. So you need a why. But I'm pleased with myself, so I'm like, whatever, you know.
Yeah, I got to drop about another 30 if Haley plans on getting pregnant because I'm definitely gaining that sympathy weight. We
You
already know
do,
it. Yeah.
you do. Larry did. Larry did.
All right, well, okay. So I want. Can you guys go to clip 2 with Christy back there in the Mr. Producer? Because here's what I want to do. You mentioned Christy Code Red. She's going to be one of our speakers at our summit, and she is like a really she'll tell you what you need to hear, whether you like it or not, kind of coach. Which is why she's so extraordinarily popular with her social media following. If you can get clip 2, I want to talk about high-fat diet problems, weight loss, grumpiness, and get some feedback from her on like this weight challenge, which my staff is doing right now. Hit it.
You're going to lose weight on the lemon and cayenne pepper diet. You're going to lose weight on the cabbage soup diet. You're going to, we don't have a weight loss problem in this country. We have a weight regain problem. So you've got to keep it off. And the reason you were grumpy was because this is just not the way that humans were designed to eat. Humans, and the way that Code Red works and the way that we believe in a high fat diet, because when a predator kills a prey in the wild, the first thing they do is eat the fat. They eat the fat around the kidneys. They eat the fat around the eyeballs. Sorry if that makes you squeamish. And so the fat is good. So when you get enough fat in your diet, you don't want to kill your family during the whole process. And that's how this works. You want to feel good during weight loss. And like eggs and bacon and avocado, you're talking the best thing you could possibly eat that's going to give you energy all day long. That's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. And you're going to, unfortunately people, they're all doing that because they're desperate. They feel hopeless. They're wanting to try the next thing that's quick. And you just end up with a whole host of problems. So I would definitely try a high-fat diet if I were you, something that uses real food, not the shakes, the pills, the shots, the prepackaged crap.
Yeah.
Well, there you go, folks. So you're evidently doing this. By the way, she's got to be at the summit. So go to lancewellness.com/summit because she's going to be there to do Q&A and have some time with you to answer your questions. And you get 2 days with our experts to get to know them.
I got to say, though, because I watch the comments from time to time, and we've got a staff member, Julie, who's in there and reads all the comments and stuff. But some people were like, couldn't get past her blue hair and her blue eyeshadow. And I was just thinking, like, this woman is a huge Lance Wallnau fan. We met her at the Dream Trip. And I'm like so thankful we got people that follow you that look like however they want to look, that it's like, hey, we don't all look the same, And so anyways, don't get hung up on she got blue hair and blue eyeshadow. You got to listen to what she's saying, because somewhere in there you got those nuggets of truth, like what she just shared.
Yeah, I mean, my gosh. How superficial can you get, people?
You'd be surprised.
Well, and she's honestly, I've got ads running. She gets the most click-throughs.
Of course she does.
Yeah.
I'm
more than
thinking of
Jordan.
having blue hair myself.
Oh,
for a
are
certain
you?
Listen, I wore the Mike Lindell bathrobe, and I had extraordinary traffic till certain women in my life, including my wife, said, inappropriate. Why are you wearing a bathrobe late at night when you're doing your rants? Because I'm selling Mike's bathrobe. You can't wear Mike's bathrobe at midnight doing broadcast. I had to take off the bathrobe.
Oh, it's a shame. I didn't know that.
But he did it off camera. Thank God.
Yes, I did. I did indeed. All right, so what's the diet going to be? We only got 2 minutes.
Well,
so what's the challenge? I'm going to join you in the challenge.
Are you joining the challenge?
Well, I'd like to. How many pounds do you think you're going to lose?
I'm happy if I just get like 10, 15 pounds. That'd be awesome. And it's all about being healthy. It's not even about like, I want to be, a certain number. I think when Christy was on, she said, I forget what she said. Maybe Chelsea might have to help me out, but like something like close to what your weight was in college, I want to say. Something like that. Jordan said in the podcast,
who?
Jordan Rubin. Sorry,
Thank
talking
you.
like he's my friend. So Jordan Rubin was saying, whatever your ideal weight is, you need to eat that in protein per day. So that's what my goal's been. And I got to tell you, it is hard to eat 100 grams of protein a day. So it's very challenging. I mean, just like if you take his like collagen powder, or if you get like a protein drink, that's only like 20 grams. So then you're eating almost like half a chicken, a tiny, like a piece of steak. It's challenging.
I want the non-hungry diet. I want
That's
the one
this.
where I'm not hungry.
No,
if
that's
you can show me
this.
that one, then I'll be happy.
It's this, but you got to go past the first couple of days of your body detoxing
Yeah.
from like all of the sugar and all that stuff. You know, it just, your body gets addicted to that.
Yeah, Lance, what you need to know is it's possible to be hungry and sin not. You know, I think that's the word of the day for you.
Be hungry, but sin not. A
Mm.
play on be angry, but sin not. For those of you that don't get Carl's almost dad humor is developing since he's gotten married. It's beginning to emerge. I'm noticing it. It's kind of
More
like
and
that.
I'm going to be a father to nations, so I'm just working on the humor.
Oh.
There you go, my son. All right, so here's the thought. If we're going to be joining you and you're going to be joining us in this commitment to maximum physical vitality, strength, and power in the next year, I'm really pulling my punches here because I got a lot I would say about how you go about reassociating the progress you want to make with the outcome you want, which is what Carl was saying. In other words, you don't focus on, I got to get up in the morning, it's cold outside, I got to go out, and I got to go walk, and you actually, the runners that I've interviewed that are the big runners that do it as a lifestyle, it's called the runner's high. They associate the experience with the high they get doing it. I associated it with the pain I got going outside. No wonder they were running and getting high and I was in bed.
But you know, as much as you would, like we've talked about in weight loss in this episode, it's not all about losing weight. It literally is about being healthy. And we're talking about like mental clarity, like getting rid of the aches and pains. Like I've been, you know, as I get older, I notice that, like we were just talking before we got on the show. I'm like, Lance, do you have like floater things in your eye? And you're like, oh yeah, I get them all the time. And you're like, you're almost 40. It's like these things start to happen.
Right.
But it's about a quality of life, you know? And sure, some of that is going to be weight loss for you guys out there. But there's a lot of other things. There's, you know, like the regeneration we're talking about with Shirley. And also like looking younger, the feeling younger. It's not just always about weight loss, but this has been on that. But we got so many other great things we're talking about.
We have much more to talk about. And final thoughts, Carl. When you're doing your you do a physical routine thing, and I saw you've taken over like your weight and workout and stuff. I was going to go out with you the other night. You said no, you got your gym commitment or something like that. Is that something you do with other people? And is it important to do some of these goals? I know we're going a minute over. Is it important to do some of these goals with someone else so you have the accountability, or what's the story there?
Yes. So it depends on the type of person. Introverts tend to do better by themselves, just for their own goal setting. It's also important, based on certain neurological literature, to not share your end goal with people. Let them know what your motives are. Let them know what your plan of attack is, but don't tell them the final result, because in doing so, you're actually giving yourself a dopaminergic response or a little happy feeling by sharing the goal without actually getting to it. So you're potentially hurting yourself in doing that. I do have an accountability partner, my writing partner, Aaron. What's up, bud? He just signed up for the gym with me. I also have a trainer who helped me drop over 25 pounds for my wedding. It was a special event that I wanted to look my best for.
There you go.
And when we're talking about weight loss, it's also important. I have a little slide here. I'm not going to pull it up. But instead of just focusing on weight loss, you should be focusing on all of the other health factors that go into that. So your energy levels, your sleep hygiene, your stress tolerance, reducing your cravings, your digestion. So that way, if you have any issues with digestion, you're actually getting your body right. Reduced inflammation. That's a huge one. It's a major issue in America. And then reduced weight size. So for me, it wouldn't have been enough to drop 25 pounds. I wanted to lose some inches around my waist. I also wanted to have better sleep, because if you have better sleep, hygiene especially, so you're going to bed and waking up around the same time, your body's going to be processing the energy a lot better. The energy itself is going to be higher as a consequence of having lost the weight, because now your body has less stuff to have to manage. So all of these other health factors go into the idea of losing weight, but it's not just the weight loss that you're going after. And it's the same thing with other goals that we set for ourselves. So having an accountability partner is incredibly important if you are a social person. I tend to score a little higher on my social scales. When it comes to like the Wheel of Life, for instance, with friends and family, I'm higher than I would say the average person, because I'm really big on quality time and getting people surrounding me and the events and the activities that I do. So for me, having that accountability partner is great. He hit me up this morning. He's like, yo, we doing gym tonight? And he goes 5 days out of the week.
That's
So it's great to have somebody who's there to push you up the hill.
I remember I was at this rich guy's house in Kelowna, British Columbia. I stayed with him, And he got up in the morning and because he had an appointment in his gym, had his own private gym in his house, and he's on a bicycle. And he's on a bicycle for 35, 45 minutes, then doing some stretching. And there's a person there with a clipboard watching him. And I said, not for nothing, but why do you pay that person to be a physical trainer when you're only going to be on a bicycle?
Mm-hmm.
He said, actually, the truth is, I hate to admit it, but it's what keeps me accountable to get on the bicycle. He said, I found that when I didn't have the accountability, I didn't do it, and I had excuses. But when I have to pay someone to be here, it drives me crazy. I'm paying someone to stare at me. It motivates me to just do what I got to do. So, folks, go to lancewallner.com/summit. Carl gave I think, a brilliant elucidation of the benefits to, that was just the running. And so if you're focusing on running, you're probably not going to do it. If you're focusing on not eating, you're probably not going to do it. But if you focus on the benefits and the multiple outcomes that come with it, you create that, sounds strange, but you create that neurological, emotional, mental, physical association with the outcome.
Yeah.
You say, well, that sounds so biblical. Listen to me. Jesus, for the joy that was set before him, endured the contradiction of sinners against himself. He despised the shame they put on him and is now seated at the right hand of God Almighty. I'm quoting to you from Hebrews. Jesus practiced focusing on the outcome of what he was going to get as a result of the pain. And I'm telling you, there's a principle there. Be outcome focused, and you can endure almost anything. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Go to lancewallner.com/summit. You don't want to miss this. Be with an exclusive group of world changers that are all focused on physical mastery in 2024. And we'll see you again on our next broadcast.
Did you enjoy this latest episode? Please remember to share it with your friends, because the more knowledge you have, the better equipped you are to navigate the world